Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about why Donald Trump gets away with the outrageous things he says again and again and again. Because it's very shocking to people, and especially the Democrats on the left. They're like, oh, he said this crazy thing, and this time it's really going to matter. It's, people won't stand for him saying this, and they really think that the words he say are going to impact his voting, are going to impact people voting for him. And they don't, right? Like, or even supporting it, right? So let's talk about it. All right, let's get right into it. So, what did he say recently? He had two things that he said. He had the Bob Woodward comments, right? So the Bob Woodward comments is he's on tape with Bob Woodward going, "Oh yeah, I played down this coronavirus thing because I didn't want to worry the people." I was like, "What?" And they're like, are you kidding me? Wow, that's a shocking statement. Why would he say that to Bob Woodward, right? And the Democrats are like, oh, this is really going to get him. People are going to know that he really played this thing down, and this is really going to get him. It's an outrageous thing he said. He's really going to pay a price for this, right? A political price, right? And he won't, right? We'll get into a minute why he doesn't pay a political price for these statements, right? Because there's a very good reason for it. The other one was he was accused of saying a terrible, terrible thing about veterans who had fallen American veterans who had fallen in service to their nation. Now, this one I had seen this at quite a few different sources, and then Sagar from the Hill said that he had looked into this, and all of the sources were anonymous. And all the sources were anonymous. Well, you could throw that out the window. Like that barely matters, right? But it was reported by major news site sources, and they never threw that in. I had to wait until I heard it on the Hill that all the sources for him saying this were anonymous, right? Like, so I'm like, But the reality is there were literally hundreds of news stories about, hey, is this going to matter? He said this, Donald Trump said this terrible thing about these fallen veterans, and he's going to pay a political price for it, right? And I don't understand why the Democrats are even wondering about this second one, because he had already rolled hard against John McCain and paid no political price for it. Like, did just fine, right? Like, it's amazing, right? So the reality is, like, the Democrats keep thinking they can pin something on Donald Trump, and they just keep failing to pin anything major on him. They really have not been able to pin anything significant on Donald Trump, right? So why does he get away with this? Well, there's a very good reason why Donald Trump can say almost anything he wants and continues to do just fine and pay no political price. Well, so why is this? Well, here's the reason, right? Donald Trump is the first politician in history, in history, without a doubt, in history, right, to completely invert how political communication works, right? So basically, I think maybe there was a day, it certainly can't be remembered in my lifetime, where people actually listened to what politicians said, right? Before Trump, okay, this is all before Trump. Before Trump, in my lifetime, I'm 50 years old now, right? And within my lifetime, nobody listened to anything any politician said. And the reason why was the following reasons. They knew everything a politician said before Trump would be coming from a speechwriter, right? Well, first of all, you can chuck all that nonsense, right? It's not even their words. It's just like, and honestly, think about it. Politicians are only people who unapologetically use speechwriters, right? I'm like, hey, why don't you just say what you think, right? Who cares what you paid a speechwriter to say, right? So most of the time they'd be like, this isn't even this person. They're just reading this speech because somebody else wrote it for them. So you don't need to listen. The other reason why people would ignore what politicians said is it would be party playbook, Democrat playbook, Republican playbook. What are the Democrat playbook? Democrat playbook is free everything, tax the wealthy, and help the downtrodden, right? And make the wealthy pay when you help the downtrodden, right? That's a summary of the Democrat playbook. What's the Republican playbook? Lower taxes, help business, right? Strong economy, chicken every pot, right? Like, and that's actually extra car in every driveway, right? That's the Republican playbook, right? So one of the things is people before Trump would just ignore. They would ignore what politicians said because they knew, one, it was written by a speechwriter. Who cares? Like, it's not even their own words. Why take the time to listen to it? Two, it's going to be the Republican or it's going to be the party playbook. Whatever the corresponding party is, it's going to be their playbook, right? I already know that nonsense. I know what's going to come out of their mouth. And the last one was, there's particular industries where people are like, these people are liars. Like, and politicians are one of them. Like, if you're going to say, if you say to an average American, if you line 10 Americans up and say, what profession is likely to lie to you? You could bet, quite a few of them were going to say politician, right? So American people had already believed for a long time that American politicians would lie to them, right? So they ignored them. So that's just it. So that's why Trump is the first politician to be able to say virtually anything he wants, because you can say a million things about Donald Trump, but he is nobody's person. He is clearly independent to his own thought, right? He says whatever the heck he wants, right? He will listen to people in his party, and he will listen to his counsel, but he is going to say whatever the heck he wants to say, and no one stops him. It's so clear that his counselors are saying, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. The party is saying, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. He is saying it, right? Like, I swear, I think his counsel and the Republican Party himself would never let him touch a phone again if they could just stop his tweets. And the things he says in speeches are sometimes even crazier than what he says on tweet, right? So the reality is, he's the first person he completely inverted it. He made it so that the media can ignore nothing he says, right? And the media doesn't. There is an article virtually on every single sentence that comes out of his mouth, right? And the media is trained. You cannot ignore me. You cannot ignore me. Nothing coming out of my mouth is going to be straight Republican playbook. I can say something outrageous and entertaining, right? Even if it's wrong, even if it's non-truthful, it's going to jack your ratings, media. And they know this, right? They know that they can get ratings, that the Trump lovers and the Trump non-lovers, they're going to take the same content and eat it up, right? And news sources have spiked in ratings, since Trump, right? And so that's the reason he gets away with this stuff. I was listening to Slate Political Gabfest this week, and they covered this. They said, look at these two crazy things he said, these two outrageous things he said. Will he pay a political price? And not one of them, to my recollection, not one of them was willing to say he would pay any political price, because they've watched him again and again and again and again say things no one ever thought any politician would say and get away with it. And where we are is the reason that people embrace the outrageous things that come out of Trump's mouth is they're like, I'd rather a person say outrageous, hurtful things than to say nothing that is even worth listening to. For every word to come out of their mouth to be empty. And that's what American politicians had become before Trump. You could ignore every word that came out of their mouths because nothing mattered. It was party playbook, a lie, or it was written by somebody who wasn't them, right? Which were three hugely strong reasons to never, ever, ever listen to a single word a politician said. And Trump flipped the script 100%. He said, listen up. He said, you will not ignore a single word I say, because when I speak, those words aren't coming from a speechwriter, right? Those words aren't going to be party playbook. And now, actually, he does lie, right? That's for sure. But the reality is, his lies are targeted, and they are meant to accomplish a purpose, and that purpose is not just to protect themselves. It's often to achieve a goal, right? And here's the other thing is, he never fails. He never fails to entertain, and he never fails to have ratings on offer for any channel, anti-Trump or Trump supporting any organization that will give him screen time. he's going to jack their ratings through the roof, right? And that is incredible. You're like, wow, like that's really pretty amazing. Like that, that he gets coverage like that. So that's why Trump gets away with this. He shouldn't. He should not get away with this. You shouldn't be able to say these outrageous statements, right? But the reason why he is able to is the Democrat and the Republican parties are both reaping a harvest of woe. For the woe plants they planted long ago, which was when they said, you know what, from now on, every word out of every Republican and Democrat politician's mouth is worthless. It's just party line. It's just somebody else's words, or it's a lie, right? And Donald Trump completely inverted it. And that's why he gets to say the things he gets to say, because people are like, I don't care what he says. I know it's his words. And I know that he's his own person. That's a big deal. A lot of people said that, Dick Cheney was like really the president, right? And they knew it just wasn't that person's words most of the time. And so people got used to ignoring politicians. That's my opinion. Why do you think that Donald Trump is able to get away with this, just time and time again? Also, do you think he will pay a political price for these things? I don't think he will. I really don't think he will. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.